Good morning, South Tyneside, Northeast, UK, the world, because obviously we are live across Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and LinkedIn. They fixed my LinkedIn live at last, so we're across there as well. Great to have you with us once again on this wonderful sunny Friday morning. Let me know you're here in the comments as per usual. Remember, we can throw them up on screen. Let me know what company you're from as well. Get your plugs in. Let me know what you've been up to as well. Because this is your show. This is yours. So you might as well use it as best you can. We've got a fantastic guest for you today. Very interesting chat. One that's been in the mix for a few months now. So it's going to be an interesting one. There's our Invest team. Good morning from the sunny South Shields. I'm guessing that must be Lindsay. Welcome, Gary. So see what Lindsay's done there? She's actually stole my thunder. So I can't introduce Gary because she's already done it for me. So yes, there you go. We've got, and you know we've got Gary today because it's been on all the social feeds, hasn't it? It's been on all the Facebook and LinkedIn stuff. Who have we got there? We've got our Kate. Kate, I hope you are not COVID positive, my friend, because I have had a kick off that myself. It's tough. It's hard, but you know, get over it. It's done. That's it. So hopefully you're all safe and well, Kate. Thanks for checking in. There's Jim there. Looking forward to hear from you, Gary. Jim's from RTC North, a great guy. And of course, Jim's just introduced the guest as well. Just taking all my glory, guys. You know, this is what I get paid to do. Well, don't really get paid. Who else have we got? Let me know if you're here. Remember company name as well, just like what Jim did there. He popped in RTC North. Oh, there's our Lauren. Good morning. Happy Friday, Lauren. Kate, I'm sorry to hear you living the COVID dream. On a plus note, I lost 5.5 kilograms in the first week, so nice and svelte for the summer. No, I'll put it straight back on. As soon as I can start taste again, I got lots of curry, vindaloo. So I'm sorry to hear that. Right, shall we bring our Gary in? Because obviously now everyone's introduced him, the founder of the founder of OGEL. Good morning, Gary. How are you?
Good morning, Ian. Yeah, all good this morning. Thanks. Yeah, it's on this lovely day. It's got to be said. It's a lovely day.
It is. I caught you earlier on, Gary, and I noticed you were on brand, but I can't see that now. So you're going to have to give us a little bit of a demonstration.
Oh, demonstration of what? The brand?
You had a T-shirt on, didn't you? Did you have
there you go.
There you go. Come on.
I mean, if you want, a lot of people still don't know why we're called OGEL, but I can tell you, some people know, some people know.
Well, I tell you what it is. There's our Paul here. Look, Paul Lancaster. Love all the OGEL products. So looking forward to watching this. Yeah. So people do know about OGEL. Let's have a look. Who else have we got here? Good morning. Here to get more and more inspired by the OGEL team. No pressure, Gary. There from Barzanay. Hope I've said that right. Who else we got? We've got Ben Gash there. Hope everyone's having a great start of the day. Super sunny, super warm. Just like what we see. There you go. Look, he's gone for the plug. AACS Limited.
That's what it's all about. It's all about networking and something people do. Justin, yes.
Justin's been excited for this one. He's been asking for the links and everything. He's really looking forward to this one. And Paul there as well. Great to hear of your success in Dragon's Den. As we work with the Materials Processing Institute.
Early days, yes.
Early days.
Second with us, early days. It was, brilliant guys, you know.
Well, I tell you what it is, you know, what an appearance. That must be the pinnacle of the marketing career. Yeah. You being on today's Business Talks.
Well, I'll take that as a good sign. Yeah, it was.
You didn't think I was talking about Dragon's Den, did you?
Oh, well,
I'm talking about today, mate. Today, this is the top.
Yeah, sorry, Ian, you're right. Yeah, so I'm just sort of yourself and the guys from far north. It's Dragon's Den was cool, but now I know I've made it. You know.
Anyway, go on. Tell me about OGEL, because you said there before not many people know or why
Well,
it's called.
sort of, obviously, everybody sort of knows it's a building product, that sort of thing, you know. But I have more fun with the name of the company than I do with anything else. So, you know, and you'd be amazed at the number of people who don't know. I mean, do you know where the name of the company comes from?
I've got no idea, mate. No idea.
Right, well, do you want to play a game?
Oh, come on then.
Come on.
Remember, I have had.
Nobody type in because we're playing a game with Ian. Two dicks.
Mind, it's Friday. I'm tired. I've had COVID. I have got the foggiest head possible at the moment. That's what COVID's done to me. I don't know if I'm coming or going. So I'm getting all the excuses in now.
Right. Okay. Right. We're gonna play a game. Right. And you, as a marketing person, should be quite good at this. Right.
Okay.
3, 2, 1 game. Okay. Number 3. Right. So first question. What is it made of?
Plastic.
Good. Excellent. What is it in essence doing?
It's a barrier to build.
Yes. So it's plastic.
Mm-hmm. So it's keeping the elements out and helping you build a
so it's plastic
structure.
Builds. Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Last bit. Okay. Let's show us on screen on here. Can you sort of see which way does the arrow point?
Oh, right. Okay. It's pointing backwards.
Yeah. So read it backwards. Read the word backwards.
Lego. Oh my word.
Yeah. You'd be amazed at the number of people who don't get that.
I've never seen that. Did Lego know? Do we have to keep that quiet?
No. I would love Lego to sort of come at us, because we actually sort of spoke to a lot of we spoke to a branding attorney, sort of saying, look, will we get into problems with this? And they just looked at it and went, the rules are very, very simple. Sort of, if the average person thinks that you are trying to pass yourself off as Lego,
right? Okay,
then you're in trouble. But if you're not, and I've just proven there that you didn't know, and a lot of people just don't know. So we passed the acid test almost.
Excellent stuff. There you go. So we can use this in a court of law.
Exactly. That's the idea.
I'm not the average man, though. I'm a bit silly. So look at this. Look, who would have thunk it? Everyone's stunned. Who knew?
Yeah. A lot of people didn't know. It's just weird, isn't it? You know, yes.
So let's go back to the early days then. When was OGEL always OGEL, or Gary? Do you know when you're starting a business and you're coming up with all these different names and stuff? What was your first name?
It was always pretty much OGEL, yeah. Sort of, yeah, because obviously that was an inspiration. Although how the product works is completely different to OGEL. It's different to Lego, should I say? I'm used to sort of saying it around there. Yeah, it's completely different. It's it was almost like plastic building. Okay, well, what a plastic building, Lego. Yeah.
So early.
So it was always that name, really. So, I mean, the limited company's a different name, but yeah, sort of because OGEL was taken as a limited company name, and so we took a different limited company name. But apart from that, yeah, it was always pretty much OGEL. So
thinking about early days, okay, how did the concept come around? What made you think about this?
Yeah, a bit of a long story, but sort of, I come from a family of builders. I'm not a builder, I'm an accountant, and sort of back in the early 70s so we should say health and safety on building sites was a little bit more lax, and being a 5- and 6-year-old, I used to end up at building sites moving bricks at a time with my dad, and doing this sort of thing, and he said a great thing which has stuck with me and really was without realizing it, was the solution to the problem that we do, which is there's only two problems you have to solve in building. How you build the same thing, the same shape, up and down and side to side. Well, Lego solves the up and down bit. Sort of, you join Lego up and down. But if you think about it, you can't join two bits of Lego side to side, can you? You've got to have a piece above it or a piece below it. And that was the start of the whole journey. And then we sort of worked with a design house in Newburn, in West Newcastle, called E3 Design, who have been fantastic and worked with us all the way through on this. And a part of the team now, really. So we're all part of the same process almost to a certain degree. So I came up with the idea of an L shape. So an L shape clicks into an L shape, makes a box shape, which is quite cool. And then, without going too far into how the clever bit of what we do is what we actually do is we actually offset the back to the front, which means that we can sort of build long lengths by wherever there's a joint, offsetting the front of the joint with the back of the joint. Does that sort of make sense? Yeah, sort of, and then up and down is dead straightforward. It just clicks them together and just either screws or we use a piece that goes in between it. You know, dead straightforward. It works. You know, sort of simple design. That was the inspiration, if you like, sort of how we sort of moved forward with it. But the funny thing is, we sort of a lot of people sort of say it's a building block. It's actually never ever a building block. Sort of we never build blocks out of it. We only ever sort of, because in building, a block builds a course, and a course builds a wall. You put corners on it, makes an enclosure, and you put a roof on a floor, and it makes a room. You know. So what we do is we don't build blocks; we build courses. You know, so
right, okay, yeah.
That's the idea. Is sort of, you know, so, and because you're only building a course, you sort of it's almost like a box with no signs on it. You know, and you just keep building that lengthways, and then you cut a 45-degree and you turn it around a corner and you do whatever with it, you know. And that's what we got the patent on, you know. That's the.
So we've all been in the pub and someone's had an idea and they've kind of banged on about this idea.
Yeah.
But ideas are just ideas until you execute on them.
Yeah, too right.
When did you execute on this idea?
It started, I can tell you the exact time, it was February the 4th, 4:45, in 2015. Yeah, 2015. Yeah, so that's sort of, and what it was an old boss of mine sort of came back to us, and they just bought a machine to make like polypropylene wrapping round render for walls and that sort of thing. And the idea is that you can keep the render outside and it doesn't go off like it would with a paper bag. And what he sort of said was, well, if worse comes to worse, he says, sort of, and the whole business fails, he says, what we can do is we can make sandbags. You know, sort of. I went, sandbags, you know, sort of. You know, so at the time, just happened sort of where we worked, which was down sort of near to Thirsk, was suffering quite badly with floods, and it was like sort of. Is there sort of, I started thinking about flood defences. How can I build a flood defence? That was the inspiration, is how can I build a flood defence? And that's where it started, sort of. And then the idea moved on. Then all of a sudden we thought, well, okay, so we got packing cases, and we cut packing cases to try and see how they would work by packing them laterally. But what we hadn't realised was the problem we were always trying to solve wasn't the up and down bit, it was the side to side bit. You know, because we're taking packing cases and we're cutting triangles out of them and trying to put them sideways on, and you know, and it was never really going to work, if I'm being honest about it, you know. And then, like I say, so one of the guys at E3 came up with this idea of an L shape, turns into an L shape, and then the offsetting idea came out 6 months later as to how you offset it, you know. Sort of, so yeah, that was an idea from a pub, but I'll caveat that and sort of say, so that was the big idea. I always sort of claimed to have had two very other big ideas. But years ago, I'd never executed on them. So this is my third time looking. And those other big ideas, so when the internet when I first started using the internet, which for me was about 1993, 1994, somewhere around there, and it was obviously very, very early days, dial-up, all that sort of stuff, you know. I always sort of said, one of the first big things on the internet is going to be bingo, you know. 1993. Now, if you look when Foxy Bingo and all these other bingo companies started, they didn't sort of take place till the early 2000s or late 1990s, you know. And I think I should have done something with that. That was a great idea, you know. And then I had another idea to do with before you had smartphone technology in the early 2000s. It was like sort of, you know, everything was text back in those days, you know. Sort of, and it was like sort of, I thought, well, you know, sort of, if you're in a strange city or a strange town, well, you know, sort of, if you had like a you know, and you typed wanna takeaway, you know, and if you also bear in mind this before you had sort of real websites, before you had smartphone technology as we have now, you know, you text want a taxi or want a pizza or want a whatever. If that went out, and it obviously sort of it knew graphically where you were, if it went outwards and sort of said, you know, sort of a taxi company then phoned you to sort of say, yes, we are the nearest taxi company to you right now. We will send a taxi to where you are. Simple technology. It's what Uber do now with smartphones. But before a smartphone, didn't do anything with it.
Well, I tell you what it is, Gary. I don't want a taxi. What I want is a home office.
That's what you want. Yes. Well, want a home office? Well, come and see us. Yes.
What can you do then? So, who is this actually? Who's the customer segment, Gary? So we've got the modular system. Have you got kind of off the shelf products then? So we've got a pod 1, pod 2, pod 3, that sort of stuff.
I mean, so what we do initially is we think the big market is home offices, garden rooms. Okay. Because obviously with COVID and everything else, I mean, okay, people are now going back to work, but there's a huge thing now whereby people have had a taste of working from home, and people are now looking at it and going, well, something, do I really need to be in the office sort of 5 days a week? Obviously the new in phrase is hybrid working. The phrase hybrid working didn't really exist sort of a year and a half ago. It exists now. People are sort of now wanting a work-life balance, but at the same time, companies have a duty of care where they can't have somebody sort of sat at the kitchen desk or sat on the sofa, getting bad backs. And equally, sort of people do want to have a feeling of going to work. So if you've got that halfway house, like a dedicated office in the garden, very, very small or very, very large, depending on the size of your garden and your requirements, that's what we sort of believe is our first product, really. Yeah. That's what we launched really to begin with. And it's gone a little bit mad since Dragon's Den, if I'm being honest with you. It's we thought we'd get a few inquiries afterwards, and so far it's about sort of £600,000 worth of inquiries.
Wow,
a bit more than I thought.
It's interesting because we're on Dragon's Den, but let's go there. They always say, you're there for a couple of hours, and it's much longer than the 10 minutes or whatever a clip you ever see on the BBC. And when I was watching it as well last week, I was wanting to ask questions around like the durability, like the weight of it. How does it stay down from the wind and the elements? And they didn't really go into those bits of technicalities, or did they? But we didn't see that.
They did a little bit, sort of.
Okay.
I mean, that is, it's light, but it's not. It's not like sort of because when you say polystyrene, people think the white flaky stuff, which it is, but it's all crushed down. So what you think of the white flaky, what's called expanded polystyrene, it's actually only 5% polystyrene, 95% air, whereas this is 60% polystyrene, 40% air. So it makes a big difference. So it doesn't blow away anyhow because we've had one unanchored for a year set up. So but what we can do is we can still sort of screw to the ground if we want to using what's called ground screws. For like larger developments, because a big thing that it does sort of solve, because it's effectively a wall and a roof and a floor, we know at some point in time, and it's something that we are going to investigate probably about 2-3 years' time, is we're going to build houses out of it,
Okay.
Cool. Because I'm not sort of saying we're going to build high-rise flats out of it, and that sort of nature, but, we're going to sort of do away with the world's need for concrete, concrete foundations. So we will use some concrete, but we see it being a true housing solution longer term.
Oh, so I'm going to have to throw this on screen. I'm giggling away here in the background. 95% air, similar to Ian's head. So thanks for that. Thanks.
That's a little bit unfair. It's probably about 85%. It's probably more.
Good, everyone. Join us this morning. Thanks for coming in. People often pop in within 10 minutes of it starting. You just come out of bed. They just roll out of bed. These people.
That's right. Yeah.
Didn't Deborah Meaden say something about polystyrene, that the polystyrene wouldn't be around for a while now? We're getting rid of it, and then what are you going to do?
The truth is, she's partly right, but mostly wrong, unfortunately. I mean, sort of since the program, we've had the number of polystyrene foam companies who've phoned us and sort of say, "Do you realise Deborah Meaden, in the nicest possible way, doesn't really know the industry very well, doesn't know what's happening, because they are trying to find certain solutions around polystyrene, which there's a thing called mycelium, which is like a plant-based, like grown, like packaging solution, and in practical terms, it's nowhere near ready. It's not ready for market. B, it probably never will be ready for market because you've got to grow it rather than make it. And also the fact that although we took packaging on with us, everybody thinks this sort of polystyrene isn't just packaging. It's the inside lining of your fridges and freezers. It's in cars. It's in buildings. It's sort of the old CD cases that I used to have many years ago. That was polystyrene. You know, coat hangers. You know, sort of are we going to do with coat hangers? How are we going to hang our clothes up? You know, that's all. So really, the source of raw material, which they didn't really sort of show on the den, that's our real source of raw material longer term. You know, and also the fact that, you know, in the nicest possible way, you know, we make 24 million tons of this stuff a year globally. So we aren't going to go to nothing overnight, are we? You know.
So thinking about that, the likes of those stats there, Gary, that you've just threw at me, did you have that ready for going into the den to pitch? Did you have?
Yes, we did. We sort of covered most of it, but of course, in the nicest possible way. So you've got to remember, sort of, it's not an investment program; it's an entertainment program.
Yeah.
So what gets discussed in there? Sometimes the BBC are making an entertainment program, so they're going to sort of, that's a little bit technical, a little bit not of interest to the 15-minute view that we do while we're on there, you know. So it gets cut in the edit, you know. In the 2 hours that are on there, which goes down to like 10-15 minutes, you know, sort of that ends up on the studio floor, you know. Floor, you know.
Were you phased at all?
No, overall I wasn't. The only time I was a little bit phased is because I'm a little bit claustrophobic. And what I do is they film everything twice. And then they sort of say, right, now we're going for real. So you go into the lift and everything else. And we were held in the lift for, they said, so you've been there for 30 seconds and then the doors will open and you're in the studio. Well, so we're in the lift and the lift doors didn't open after 30 seconds. And then the lift doors didn't open after 45 seconds. And the lift door didn't open after a minute. And it was like, I'm getting more and more tetchy. in this enclosed space with this glass screen, this perspex screen between me and Alan.
I saw that, yeah.
And it was like sort of, you know, and I know that obviously sort of the lift's all taken care of. And I know that they're on the other side of that door. And it's like, if those doors don't open in a minute, I'm going to have to pull those doors open and get out somehow, you know, because I was really getting quite yeah, sort of claustrophobic, you know. But the doors opened, I was okay, I walked in there, and of course the studio itself is very, very dark. So it's like sort of all you got is these 5 people in front of you with white lights shining down them. It's like this is very strange. This is not a normal Wednesday morning. Sounds
like that was a bit of a sales technique that day to get you worried before you went in.
Because once again, I mean, sort of the BBC, they're making an entertainment program. You know, sort of. So having me a little bit head up is probably it looks good on TV. You know.
Let's go back to the afterwards. Then you mentioned there was like £500,000 worth of sales inquiries have come in. How did that look? Was that just people like you and I just thinking I want one for the back garden, or it was like I want 10 for a street that I'm building? Or
I mean, basically it's people wanting things for the back gardens. I mean the emails came through anyhow, and there was loads of like sort of, you know, really love what you're doing, and just it's really nice what you're doing, and that's all it happened to be, which is lovely anyhow. Very, very few negative things, you know. So it's lots of home offices, lots of garden rooms, lots of that sort of product, you know. And what it's not including is the fact that we've also had inquiries from larger concerns, because it's sort of we've been contacted by sort of people who are involved with Centrepoint, the homeless charity, because they're looking and going, this could solve a lot of our temporary accommodation for homeless shelter, you know. So we're having that conversation a bit more next week. We've been contacted by Eco Attractions, who run the Eden Project, and they run Kew Gardens, and they've got a need in one of their concerns in Essex, you know, sort of where they need like sort of temporary kiosks and that sort of thing, you know, and also so, and we haven't even quoted those yet, you know, sort of we haven't even had those massive conversations, you know, sort of so yeah, it all looks very positive, you know.
Well, we've got some questions coming in. Is that you clicking a pen, mister?
I put it back yet.
I'm going to put it in a bin. we've got a couple. We've got a couple of questions coming in here. So,
Yeah, sure.
Bryn, I'm going to ask these. Bryn has threw up. Are you recycling any of the old poly stuff?
Yes. The building that we took into Dragon's Den, that was fully recycled. That's fully recycled material. It was partly waste from the factory and partly old fridges. That's what that we took into Dragon's Den with us. It was quite funny because what we sort of say is we believe about material content, it's about 80% recycled polystyrene, you know. And Deborah Regan goes, so is that building there fully recycled? And we went, actually, no, it's not. She went, I knew it. So when that building's actually 100% recycled. And it was like, oh, okay, yeah. So we kept it quiet on that one really a little bit.
Yeah. And we've got one here. How do you plumb it in? As in a feed for cold water? That's from Chris.
Yeah, the way I sort of think of it really, Chris, is we actually sort of do the electrical fit and the water feeds because it's a hollow wall effectively. We do all those fixes and all those pipes as we build the wall. So it's a bit in a normal house you would build the brick walls and then you get the electricians to come in and the plumbers to come in and then they do their first fix and their second fix. As sort of, you know, but for us, we do the whole thing at the same time. You know, so you plumb it, you wire it as you build it, because you know, yeah.
I was just going to throw this up from Eddie there. Obviously, Eddie's a good friend of yours. He's calling me Giles.
Yeah, Giles.
Yeah, no.
Yes, Mr. Giles to you, sir.
Yeah. You'll have to respond with Eddie's surname though.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, yes, it's all I've sort of say about Eddie's name. It's a lot of points in the Scrabble.
Well, you know, chess is his game, friend of the show, our Eddie. And what he's asking is will you be selling this product only as complete sets or and I'm guessing he's going to say something like, can you just buy all the bits and create whatever you want, a bit like Lego? Yeah,
I mean, we're going to market to begin with sort of complete, coming back small sets, as you say, brief. We're starting off where sort of our guys will go and fit to begin with, just so that we have to sort of master the process, if you like, you know. And then the plan is probably sort of later on next year, then we'll sort of make it more of a self-build, if you want to be a self-build, you know. But at the minute, it's a what's the word? It's a advanced DIY job, you know. So what we're trying to do is simplify the whole process, you know, which we'll only sort of learn by building more and more units ourselves, and then document that and obviously do YouTube videos, that sort of thing. And before we sort of release it as a self-assembly model, you know.
Excellent. Chris is clearly interested. I think you might have one over at One More Than Two Brew.
Yeah.
He's asking lots of questions here. They're getting very technical. He wants to know where the cold feed's coming from.
Where's the feed come? Did you mean the feed as in the? Well, you would sort of plumb it in the same way as you have a water feed coming in from a normal house. Is that the same principle? Nothing changes.
Yeah, I would have said. And he's got the audacity to say that my head's full of air. I mean, it's pretty simple, Chris. You know, come on, just get with it. Maybe he wants to plumb in his ale.
I know.
That he brews. That would be pretty cool.
Enough, sort of, I'll have a word with Chris about that because we sort of see it being great for that sort of something like Chris's environment where you need a clean environment to work. You know, because it's ideal for his sort of uses really, because it's a white clean surface, it's a white clean wall. You know, great for that sort of thing, really. You know. Actually,
so in terms of wipe clean, I mean, wow, look at what we've been through this last year in terms of, you know, people cleaning and sanitizing and everything, that sort of stuff. So what could it lend itself to, you know, outside of the home? Are we looking at more maybe industrial uses of this?
Yeah, we're looking at that as well, really. We're looking at it. I mean, so we have had very tentative inquiries from a very large organisation to do with health in the UK. I won't say any more than that.
Okay.
They're the three initials. That's all I'll say. You know. So yeah, we are looking at that as we sort of go along, because we recognise the fact that it's got multiple uses. You know, and it doesn't have to be temporary. You know, I mean that's the one thing with it being polystyrene. I mean, people think that polystyrene won't last 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. Realistically, it'll last probably about at least 50 years. Well, sort of, if I was to take this piece of polystyrene and throw it in the ocean, it would last 500 years before it would break down. You know.
Wow.
You know, because it's plastic. You know, so I mean, the quote I always sort of use, which they didn't use on Dragon's Den, that was part of their pitch. Is like, sort of, you know, we humans make the most throwaway of items out of the most permanent materials. It's a very, you know, plastic is a very permanent material. You know? So if you're going to recycle it in something that's going to last a long time. You know, and there's not many things that last longer than a wall, apart from a reusable wall.
Well, you've got a sale there. Yeah. Chris is going to take 10. Obviously, I brokered that deal. So
yeah, of course. I think that's a favor from me and about 15 pints from Chris, I think.
You're joking. I've had 3 pints out of Chris in 3 years, I tell you. Thinking about that then, that kind of licensing model, that franchisee thing, you know, how does the business model look, Gary, going forward? Is it all direct OGEL, or, you know, could you partner with other organizations to resell? And
yeah, I think what we're going to do initially it's direct sale, but we recognise the fact that, you know, as the business grows, there's a higher model there that we can sort of, you know,
all right, okay.
enough cash in the bank to sort of say, let's make something for hire. There's a higher model there. There's also, I keep doing that big pen again. There's also the fact that sort of, you know, sort of because of our patents cover us for US, all of Europe, and China. We can sort of take what we learn in the UK. We can sort of say we can sort of find a licensee in France, Nordic countries, wherever, and they take it and go, okay, right? Well, we will take it on board to sell the OGEL product over here, and we'll make it over here because it's a bit daft, you know, sort of taking raw material from Sweden and bring it back to UK to make it and then send it back to Sweden. You know, that's it kind of sort of defeats the whole sort of ecological sort of ethos of the business, really, you know. But it's one of these things where we want to prove it in the UK first, you know. Once we prove it in the UK, then we can expand it outwards, you know.
I want to ask a bit about the pricing, because I remember watching the show last week, and I think you threw a price out, and there was a little bit of like a hesitance. Oh, like, wow, I didn't see that. I'm not coming in terms of thinking it was a little bit highly priced. How's that gone, you know, across obviously the weeks and months and years of a business? You tweak business models, you become more profitable, you chop bits out and stuff. How is that going for you?
Yeah, well, the funny thing was, I mean, obviously, sort of how it was edited, it didn't tell sort of the truth. Sort of, it said this home office is. It sounded like it cost £14,000. It wasn't. That building was actually £6,500 to £7,000, which is still. I'm not saying it's cheap compared to a shed, but it's not a shed. You know, it's a working unit. You know, it's something that, you know, it's got a lifetime of use. You know, it's got a huge resale value. But in the studio, that's what you do a price on out in the head for a large garden room, which would be about 14,000, and then they cut the price for the larger building and put it against the smaller building. And it was like, that didn't happen. That was not the truth, you know. Sort of. So realistically, yes, it's not cheap, but then again, it's not expensive compared to, say, a garden room in wood, and it's got this huge resale value to it, you know, and the reusability, and the fact that you can build it bigger or smaller. And you can take it with you when you move house, which you can't really do with a wooden garden room, really, you know.
Just quickly touching on Dragons, then you might not be able to say too much, but Paul talks about relationship. I wanted to talk about when you first went in. Did you and your colleague have an idea of who you might want to work with, and who and what kind of gaps were in the business that you might think actually that particular dragon could open up doors?
Yeah, when we went in, we knew the two that we didn't want, and the two that we didn't want was Peter Jones and Tuka Sullivan. We sort of knew that. And I'll be honest with you, we were looking for more of a female input, because we genuinely, hand on heart, believe that the building industry is massively male dominated. You know, the building industry are very proud of themselves, the fact that they've managed to double the number of female workers in the past decade, from 2% to 4%. They believe that's a massive improvement. To me, that's crazy. You know, we've got a product that anybody can build. It doesn't matter sort of if you're disabled. It doesn't matter if you're male, female. The idea is to build sort of, and we want that female perspective. So we wanted either Sarah, Deborah from a recycling perspective, or Tej from his overseas perspective. So to get 2 from 3 was pretty cool. You know.
Did you manage to pronounce the names okay? Every time I've seen watch Dragon's Den lately, they get the pronunciations wrong.
Well, I must admit, yeah, it was good. It was like, don't call Deborah Debbie. Don't call her Debbie. Don't call her Debbie. And I did sort of say Sarah rather than Sarah first time, and she didn't realise. Luckily, and I went, yeah, I could that in my own head the next time, really, you know.
Well, she's a local lass. You get
local anyway, yeah. Sort of, but it was quite obviously afterwards. We got to meet Tej and we got to meet Sarah after we'd filmed, you know. And so obviously it was still filmed under social distancing rules and what have you. So we weren't allowed so close to each other. We all had to wear masks and everything else, you know.
Yeah.
And it was strange because obviously I'm from sort of down in Norton on Tees, sort of just near Billingham. And it's like sort of where you're from, and I thought she lived in Camden, that sort of area, out in County Durham, you know. She went, "Oh, live in Wynyard." I went, "Well, I'm from Norton," and it was like, you know, with extra, you know. So yeah, that was. So we started talking quite quickly in northeasterly, and poor old Tej Lolvani was going, "I can't follow this conversation." The look on his face was because we're, you know, sort of. When you're from the northeast, you start speaking up because you recognise the dialect. You know, the poor guy was like, "I'm not following this conversation half as good as I should be, really."
Bryn's just popped something up earlier on there, and he said the uses in disaster zones for temporary shelter and medical facilities is immense.
Yeah,
it's lightweight too, so it could be transported to remote locations. What we're going to get here is, Gary, is lots of people throwing out different uses for this. And is that what you're finding, that the people are like, wow, I could use this, we could use that there?
Yeah, I mean, for all we've gone to the market with the garden rooms, the garden offices, that sort of thing. So, you know, we want people to come to us and sort of say, we could do this with it, we can do that with it, you know. I mean, we do realise that there's going to be a huge market there, to be honest. I mean, and ironically, so we have actually done a little bit of work with 2 companies in Sunderland, D-Law Contractors and Vero Power, and we built we're calling it a solar kiosk. And what it actually is, it's one of our little pods that all flat packs down, and on the roof is a huge solar array. And the idea is it's in Africa and in developing nations. They have mobile phones, but what they don't have is a way to power the mobile phones. So it's almost like they go along with their mobile phone to this kiosk, hand the phone over, get a little chitty, the phone gets charged, and then they come back later on and pick the phone up, you know. And that's something that will work. So we recognise, so that was one use that we didn't even think there was going to be used, you know. And that's something which obviously we'll hopefully put up on social media over the next few weeks, really, you know. That's something that will be hopefully going off to Zambia sort of later on in the year, you know. So once we've sort of spoken to a few more aid agencies as to refining exactly what they want, you know. But sort of we think it'll be schools. We think we'll build schools out there and that sort of thing, because in a 40-foot container we can fit enough material to go around a football pitch 7 feet high. You know, that's
wow.
You know, which is a big number. You know,
it certainly is. See what happens now. Look, we've got Julie Skev. She's going to create a dog grooming parlour.
Yeah, ideal for that. Perfect. In fact, if you go on the website, there's we have test pods for home. Go down there and have a look on ogelworld.com. Get my plug in there. If you go down there, we have like a studio option on there, which give you some ideas around that, really. You know, but within reason, we can build what people want. You know, because the principle doesn't really change.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's our Justin there talking about the LEP Energy team could be interested in the energy use case.
Yeah.
Have you done any work around that?
We worked a little bit with the University of Coventry to establish the technical terms is an R value and a U value, and the empty walls, because it's polystyrene. We believe it's somewhere it's about the same equivalent as a normal house, double skin brick wall with insulation in the middle. It's about the same, you know, which is, you know, fantastic for its weight to heat ratio, you know, and sound ratio. So yeah, so that's quite good, I think, overall, you know.
What does business development look like, Gary? Then, so you're talking to people. Do you rock in with you literally? You've got those bits of samples in your hand there. Do you play videos, the art of the possible? How does it work?
Well, at the minute, we haven't really, we haven't done one bit of marketing. You know, so we've just done a little bit of social media because we were in a rush to sort of get our new product out and some videos done for Dragon's Den coming out because we knew we wanted to improve the product anyhow and get the price down a little bit and a few other things, you know. So what we're doing now is we're going to sort of some of these 600,000. We're going to try and fulfil some of those orders over the next sort of 2 or 3 months. Start moving that on, and really sort of. But what we are doing is, which also builds in with the ethos of the company quite a lot, is we're crowdfunding. We crowdfund in August, and we've started an expressions of interest page because what we would like is, you know, we recognise the fact that we need to invest to then expand further and make it bigger and everything else. Because everything so far has been pretty much paid for by myself and a couple of small European grants. You know, sort of, and in the nicest possible way. So I haven't got a lot more money to plough into it from that respect. I've got the product to market. You know, so we now need to take it to the next step really. And we went, okay, well, what fits our ethos? Crowdfunding fits our ethos. You know, so if we wanted to raise say £100,000, we'd rather have 10,000 £10 investors rather than £100,000 investor.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because we want everyone to be part of it. You know, so, I mean, for example, if you bought one share, so if you're going to tell everybody that you bought one share, you know, and it starts conversation off, you know, so, and then obviously we'll offer, you know, discounts to shareholders and that sort of thing anyhow, you know, and what we want to do is create our tribe, create the people who are into what we're doing, you know, and a lot of people are into the ecology element of it, the waste plastic element of it, they're into the homework element of it, they're into the disaster relief and all these elements that sort of it ticks those boxes in people's own heads. So the next step is how can we get people involved? You know, well, start as an investor, sort of, then be a purchaser of the product, and it all just starts to sort of percolate outwards, really. You know, but yeah. We start by selling over the next few weeks. So
is the crowdfunder live, Gary?
What it is, it's an expression of interest stage. So it'll launch in early August, but people are allowed to sort of go on. If they go on the website, ogelworld.com, there's a page on there that says Invest Like a Dragon. There's a page on there. It shows a little video of where we are now with all the new stuff that we're doing.
Wonderful.
And shows the new buildings. And then people can just put down that I'm interested in investing £10, £1,000, whatever they're interested in investing in, really. You know?
Great. So yeah, a share will certainly do me. I'll sort that out, and obviously I'll get a free T-shirt as well.
Naturally, that goes without saying.
Justin's mentioning a friend of ours, Chris. Chris is a wonderful product that he is also thinking about taking out into Africa. Global Teacher. It's I might do a disservice here, but it's a projector which is fully loaded with education materials. And he wants to get these out into Africa and obviously help educate out there. Wonderful, wonderful lad. So yeah, good call, Justin.
Yeah, so I've just made note of Chris's name there, but Justin could ping that on to me. He's contacted. I didn't get his contact details all there, but yeah, that's it's only sort of things that we recognise that there's a lot of. I mean, we've got to be a little bit careful as far as we can spread ourselves a little bit too thin from
of course,
an operation perspective, you know. But we do want to sort of investigate things, and then once we sort of make a case for it, you know, sort of move on, because we do believe a large part of what we sort of do is, you know, is the humanitarian bit, because that was one of the influences behind what we're doing in the first place, you know.
And environmental piece as well. We've got a great comments here. Somebody talking about a material scientist in Kenya who's making bricks from washed up plastics on their shores.
It's that sort of thing. But the one problem with making a brick shape is you've still got to be able to sort of join the brick to the brick. So you still need some sort of cement to join the two together, which is, you know, which I fully get, and I'm fully on board with it, and I love it to bits. But unless you sort of solve how you join the two pieces together, then you haven't ultimately solved the problem, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Hence, when you were going obviously into the L shape and that sort of thing, into the concept of it. Paul looks like he's keen as well. I might get a bit of commission out of this one. How quickly could you build a garden office? How long would it take from placing an order to having it built?
Roughly 6 to 8 weeks. It may be a shade longer at the minute, because not because of the building, funnily enough, but because we can't get hold of windows and doors at the minute because everybody's absolutely crazy. So
oh wow,
there was a shortage of glass in the UK, would you believe? So you have a full building with a door and a window in it, but just no glass, which is kind of pointless, isn't it? You know?
So just leading on from Paul's point there. So could Paul buy it himself and do a DIY, or do you bring a team in?
Initially this year we'll be sort of sending a team in, but then again, sort of we're a firm believer of come along and sort of help us build it. You know, sort of see how it's built. You know, because then people can go, well, I saw it getting built, and I had the screwdriver in my hand, and I did a course myself. I understand it. You know, it's one of these where when people do the first bit of it, they go, we understand it. You know, so it takes 5. I mean, my daughter I taught my daughter how to build. Funnily enough, a dog kennel. We have a dog kennel that we use as an example of how we do it. So we call the dog. It's a dog house, so we call it an og house. You know. But the principle of building a dog house is the same principle as building a house. Nothing changes really. But it helps that process to go, well, I'm going to teach you how to build a dog house, and then when you build a dog house, how you build a dog house is the same as you build a real house. Just a matter of larger bits and a bit higher. You know? Yeah.
Thinking about the projections, and I don't know if you've done any projections going forward for the business. Have you got any figures that you're aiming, some targets?
Yeah, this year we'll probably do about £250,000 in turnover, which isn't huge, but it's all building towards next year really, because what we want to do is bring the manufacturing fabrication is currently done in Worcester by Alan's team in Worcester, because there's nowhere in the northeast, there's nowhere in the UK that could build extrusion that large in that material. Sort of, and we work very, very hard with RAM, but we recognise the fact that we're going to overwhelm their production facilities over the next 6 to 8 months. So the idea is that we want to sort of bring that back to the northeast, you know, which is part of it for the crowdfund as well. You see, is sort of say, okay, right, we need to invest in machinery. We need to, which means we've got to get asset finance. We've got to prove the business model with what we've currently got by Alan making things by contract manufacturer. But the ultimate aim is it's starting in the northeast. We want it to percolate out from the northeast, you know.
And you're going to be obviously staying in this building because you're just above me.
Just above you, yeah. So I'm stamping the floor. There you
go. Here in South Tyneside, and we love new businesses that spring out of South Tyneside as well, because our ecosystem and our network's just amazing. So, and thinking about that, are you looking for investors? I know you mentioned before about having a bunch of investors with a smaller amount. What if someone come in, Gary, with a bit of weight behind them?
Don't know yet. I'm very conscious about things such as sort of control the company, of the direction. So you sort of people have got to buy into the values of the company. The fact that yes, we think we'll do very, very well out of it, but the idea is not to make another billionaire out of me. The world's got enough billionaires. The world's got enough very rich people. So the idea is to sort of say, okay, whilst we are a for-profit company, we have a lot of the ethos of a community-led company. So we're not a charity. We're not a sort of. We're not sort of. What we want to do is take the different elements of what we can do and sell the garden rooms, the garden offices on a commercial basis, but that will then help fund or help towards funding the homeless shelters and the disaster relief. You know, ploughing that profit back into there rather than into a new Ferrari. You know.
Yeah, so I think what we're saying there is then if an investor was going to come on board, they need to have the same values that the business was founded on.
Exactly. I mean, there's nothing wrong with making money. Absolutely nothing wrong with that at all, and it'll pay a very, very good dividend. But it's the recognition that we have different elements. We have sort of I mean, we've been having very initial conversations with the people who handle the R&D for the military. You know, sort of, because obviously there's a military application for it. You know, as well as humanitarian. You know, sort of, but we would like to sort of charge the military full price to then subsidise a little bit what we sort of do for the humanitarian shelters or that sort of thing, you know. But still make money, still do very well out of it and everything else, and still pay good dividends. But we believe the longer term, that helps people buy into the values of the company, and it makes the company stronger overall, you know.
You touched upon patents. How's that process been for you?
Yeah, well, we went in the program and we were patent pending for US, China, UK, and Europe. We've just had notification 2 weeks ago that we have the patent about to be granted in the US, and the objection from the European Patent Office and the Chinese office was the fact that there was only a US patent that they believed looked similar. It didn't look anything similar at all, you know. So now we dealt with the US problem. That will then help us. Well, it will solve the European problem and the Chinese problem, which aren't even problems anyhow, you know. Sort of. Yeah. But so they should be through the next 3 months, really, you know.
And is that sort of some of the things that have been keeping you busy in the organisation? You know, going through the bits of paperwork and patents and things like that.
Yeah, it is quite time consuming doing that sort of thing. I mean, we do have patent attorneys, but there's a lot of background work has to go into giving them the information to then move forward. But I mean, what we really have been concentrating on since Dragon's Den was how can we make the product better? How can we make it a little bit cheaper? How can we make it more efficient? How can we make it so it packs even tighter? So it was that product development really. And now that's all complete. That's all done. Now we're at market. You know, now it's, you know, but we are literally at market as of 3 or 4 weeks ago, you know.
So who do you need in the business, Gary, to work with? Where's the gaps? Where's the resource gaps?
Yeah, the resource gaps. Well, we've taken on a social media type person, sort of a PR type person, because we don't. So we believe people will come to us sort of to a certain degree. So it's getting the SEO with the Facebook, because it is a visual product. So it's quite tactile. The values are quite social media friendly, shall we say, in that respect. Obviously, with the sales that we've currently got in, I need to bring an admin person in, because at the minute there's me and a young lady who comes in a couple of days a week, and that's because, as you can imagine, I've been quite busy just doing courses last week, you know. So I need to sort of that will allow me to move on to like business development, and then obviously when we bring production up here, there'll be operational staff and managerial staff to manage the actual factory facility, you know. So it's a little bit of admin to be sort of the next 2 or 3 weeks, 2 or 3 months, if you like. A PR, well, I say PR, social media awareness type person working on that, because we recognise that what's going to be one of our best models is going to be talk to companies who sort of, if we talk to say a larger law firm, for example, and sort of say, look. And sort of, you can financially, it makes sense to downsize your office, have guys come in 2 or 3 days a week and work from home 2 or 3 days a week, because that's, you know, you only have to be into it to sort of. So there's got to be a certain degree of that B2B sale, you know, because it makes sense from financially, it makes sense from the fact from employee retention.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
Because sort of people have now got in that, you know, sort of, and in my mind, rightly so, that there's no reason to be in the office 5 days a week or 6 days a week. You know, home life is very, very important. People have now realised that, you know, sort of, you know, not leaving the house at 7 o'clock in the morning, come back at 7 at night is okay for some days, but not every day. You know,
it's interesting because initially I think we touched upon, you know, B2C. I think Dragon's Den talked about it being a DIY product and that sort of stuff. But now what we're talking about there is then business to business. You know, you've got lots of staff working from home. Could we supply them with somewhere to work?
Yes.
I mean, Jim's just popped up again there saying about, you know, mini clean rooms. You know, everyone's coming up with these great ideas.
Yes.
And these, from a grown OGEL point of view, is you're going to be starting to sell 10s, 20s of these rather than the business to consumer ones where it's one for someone's garden.
Yes.
What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, we do recognise that's the way it's going to go. But what we sort of said was, to begin with, let's go retail. Let's sell to the end user, because the end user is going to be really honest with you about what they want, what they liked, what they didn't like. You know, and getting that feedback is so valuable. You know, because sort of, you know, when somebody's spending their hard-earned cash on something that they want for their garden, they want it to be the best possible. So, and you know, and we want it to be the best possible for them, and that feedback drives what we do for the B2B offering. You know, where it's more financial rather than function and financial play a part, but they aren't as bothered about the fine details. You know, so we'd rather get the fine details and the building and the price all together. So there's the whole package. There is no objection that you can have to this product. You know.
I want the fine details, Gary. I want it wrapped. Can you wrap it for us in some funky camo or something?
We do wrap it. So if you go on the video, so we do have a building that's fully wrapped. That's what we do. So that's the idea, is that we put, you know, because what we recognise is that's part from the gardener's perspective is these buildings all look quite the same, you know. But once you wrap it, it's totally individual, you know. So it's if you think about the whole world is covered in tattoos, because everybody wants to be an individual in a collective, you know. Whereas so it's a standard building, or fairly standard building, but it's totally individual to you. There's no reason why you can't have your picture on the outside of that building if you are that way inclined. I'm not that way inclined, but, you know, but some people are, you know, sort of, it's, yeah.
Well, I think we've got another sale there. Eddie's going to bring this in. He's knocking out the company cars now. That's it. Now we're going to have little units working from home.
Yeah.
And seems to like I think Anne likes the dog grooming parlour bit. Yeah,
Anne, I didn't speak to Anne because some of Anne's work, we'd like to take some of Anne's work and put it on as a wrap on the building.
Oh wow, that would be so cool.
That would be really cool, you know.
Yeah, definitely. And thank you, Anne. I've got a lovely gift on my wall from Anne, a nice little visual display of my business. So thank you very much. You see the network we've got, absolutely wonderful. And isn't it really nice to lean into some of these friends and sort of ask for advice and things?
Yeah. And the thing is, I mean, that's one thing I'll say as a Northeast as a whole. But sort of, I mean, obviously I'm from Tyneside originally, you know, sort of the actual people want you to succeed. Absolutely. You know, sort of, it's like, have you spoken to so-and-so? Have you spoken to so-and-so? And people genuinely, hand on heart, want everybody else to succeed. There's no sort of nastiness. I mean, even companies that are in competition, I've watched conversations. You're going, well, you're a law firm, you're a law firm, but you realise that there's enough work to go around. If you sort of do it correctly, then there's enough work for everybody. You know,
it certainly is.
It's completely unlike the Southeast. It's completely unlike the Southeast. You know?
Well, Gary, we're nearly on the hour mark. I mean, I told you it would fly.
Yeah, it is. Jeez.
Yeah. It's been great, and we've had some great interactions, some great comments. There's a lot of interest, Gary, and just like you just touched upon there, people want to see you succeed. They love the business, they love the product. It's a really exciting product. You know, people are talking about it from their own point of view, like Paul there. And I think I've sold about 7 units so far in the hour. So you know, I do work in sales. I am open to any commission and offers.
Well, at the end of the day, Ian, you've sort of you've worked your magic. You've been along. And, so is that a large coffee or a small coffee?
Always large. Always large. And there's our invest team there. Thanks for all the questions. Yes, it was a really inspiring talk. Anyone interested in joining the OGEL tribe? There's the link.
Yeah,
OGEL World.
Thanks, Invest South Tyneside. That's brilliant. Yeah, sort of. Of course, sort of the people who come in early sort of get a better deal than the people who come in later on the crowdfund. So
I like his style. Nicely done. So Gary, thanks so much again for your time. Really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward. I'll be watching this journey with interest. We all will, and I'm sure you're excited for where this is going to take you, because that's the interesting bit, isn't it?
Yeah, the journey is fun. The journey is definitely fun. So it's, don't get me wrong. So there's nights I wake up and go, God, the anxiety, like sort of you know, sort of it's a concern, you know, because it's a bit like sort of. It's a bit like Bob Geldof. Bob Geldof said before Live Aid, he sort of woke up at like 3 a.m. thinking, will people turn up? You know. And now, like, I'm realizing people are starting to turn up, but I still get that anxiety, you know.
Yeah, well, that's great. Lean into that. That's the exciting bit. And there's my 8th sale. There's our Jeanette there. Jeanette wants one as well. From Just Breathe, a wonderful lady. So there's number 8. Thank you, Jeanette. Right then, Gary, I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much. And maybe let's get you on again.
Yeah, I'd love to. So whenever you want, Ian. So it was great to chat.
Cheers, Gary. You take care.
Cheers, mate. Bye-bye.
Well, there was Gary. How cool was that? And everyone's excited about this product. It is good, especially when you can wrap it. Those would look great at the bottom of your garden, wouldn't they? And I wonder if Chris did talk about plumbing it in as well. So maybe you could plumb in a little bit of a bar area. Thank you again for watching. We're hoping to get these live. That would be so cool, wouldn't it? In person again. Please stay safe. I hope you and your family are safe and well. Thank you so much for all your comments. It's been great, really great interaction today. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Great for a Friday morning. If you are watching on catch up, you know, click the share button. If you think somebody else might enjoy this, give us some love as well. You know, get the love in there. And we look forward to seeing you on the next Business Talk. Make it a great weekend.